Hi, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Council Candidates 2017. On November 7th, Old Bridge voters will go to the polls to elect 6 candidates to the ward seats on the Township Council. We're going to bring you interviews with all of these candidates here on Old Bridge Television. Our purpose is to let you hear the views of each candidate on key issues facing the Township and their ward, and to give you a more informed idea when you go to the polls to vote. Today, our guests are from Ward 6. On my left here, immediate left, is John Murphy, who is the Republican candidate, and Ken Totten, the Democratic candidate. And gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene.
John, if I may begin with you, tell us a little something about your background, first personal.
Okay. I've lived in Old Bridge 58 years. I attended all my education here. I graduated from Madison Township High School. For those of you out there that don't know that, that's what Old Bridge was called until 1973. Right. Excuse me. I graduated with a degree in Environmental Health Science Engineering from Middlesex County College. I volunteered for the South Old Bridge Volunteer Fire Department for 10 years. I coached over 25 years of children's sports such as Little League Baseball, Pop Warner Football, Recreation Basketball, and I was actually the co-founder of the Madison Mat Rats, which is now called the Old Bridge Mat Rats.
Yeah, excuse me, John, where do you stand right now? Are you family or?
I have a 9-year-old, I have a 29-year-old son, and I have 5 brothers and sisters who still live in Old Bridge.
Okay, thank you. And Ken, if I may ask you the same question, just a little bit personal about your family, about how long you've been in Old Bridge?
Okay, Gene, I've been in Old Bridge all my life, born and raised here. My parents were actually from Old Bridge as well, so I'm second generation. I went to school, but I went to Cedar Ridge back in the day.
Okay.
And went on after I graduated Cedar Ridge. I went on to Glassboro State College. Now it's Rowan, so they've changed everything as far as my secondary and post-secondary educations. And I have a degree in finance there, and also went on after that to the National School of Banking, have a degree from there, from Fairfield, Connecticut.
Okay, and what do you do now when you're not running for office? What is your profession? What is your job?
I'm the president of a small community bank in New Jersey, and I've been a fire commissioner in Old Bridge District 3 for the last 19 years.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And John, when you're not doing this, running for office, what are you doing?
Basically, I'm playing a lot of golf.
Okay, so I take it you're retired from the MUA.
I'm retired for about 7 years now. I do some consulting in the water industry field. I have a lot of free time, so I do go around and visit people and talk to them, actually throughout the town, which, of course, now with the election coming on, I've been speaking to a lot of people.
Your time is well taken.
I have a lot of unfree time right now.
Okay, so retirement's not a bad thing, though.
No, retirement's definitely not a bad thing for me.
Okay, thank you, John. Ken, if I can ask you, why are you running for office?
Well, Gene, at first what I did is I went through my election for the fire commissioners. I was up for re-election back in February and was re-elected there again. And a number of people approached me and asked me if I would consider running, and I said yes. During those conversations, I found that a lot of people were frustrated in town.
Really?
They were concerned about the infighting and the bickering that we have at the council right now. They're concerned about taxes taxes going up. They're concerned about the opiate problem, the drug problem that we have in town. Overdevelopment is on everybody's mind, especially in our ward. We just think there's too much. I mean, if you go down the street now, 516 Englishtown Road, it's busy. Texas Road is just a mess. You can't go there. And I think it's time for some changes.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Ken, if I can follow up with that, what strength or expertise do you think you bring to the council if you are elected?
Well, I've had 35 plus years in the private sector in banking. I've been primarily a lender during that period of time. I've lent to communities such as Old Bridge. I've done a lot of residential lending, a lot of commercial lending. So I understand the demographics. I understand what makes communities strong. I've run it. I've managed a budget at the corporate level. I've directed a number of people successfully, And I've also have some experience on the government side, being the treasurer for the last 19 years for the fire district. Now, you take our fire district at District 3,
Yes, sir.
our tax rate is 8.8 cents per hundred. The closest one in town is District 2, and they're at 15.8 cents per hundred.
Wow.
I would like to think that we're probably one of the lowest tax rates that we have in the state of New Jersey. And I think I had a small part to do with that.
Okay, Ken, I take it your expertise would manifest itself on the council. That's where you'd champion
I think
those
I
causes.
would do well in the finance area for them, yes.
Okay, thank you. John, can I ask you the same question?
Yes.
Why are you running at this time now that you're a retired guy? Why are you running?
Like I said, I've lived here my whole life.
Right.
I've met a lot of people. I've gone around, I spoke to people, and a couple of people had approached me and said, look, why don't you do something and run for council? I thought about it. I said, you know what? It's about time. I've been going to the council meetings for 2 years. I didn't like some of the things I heard. So I decided to take my time and go and just work for the people. I want to work for the residents of Old Bridge, and that's what I want to do. I want more of a people person. I don't want it to be a party issue. In my opinion, it should be about the residents of Old Bridge and only about the residents of Old Bridge.
Okay, thank you. What strength do you think you bring to the council if you are elected?
Okay, like I said, I've worked for the water company for 40 years, 25 of which I was superintendent.
Right.
I've solved a lot of problems there. I think analytically. If I see a problem, I diagnose it and I get it done. I've worked many emergencies through hurricanes, through a lot of different things, and I feel that I can help the people mainly because of that, but I also have a close relationship with the Old Bridge Parks and Rec and the Old Bridge Township, and I can call them at any time if I need them in case of an emergency in town and get them out there at any time. And also, I control the budget. I think it was a $7 million budget a year for the last 20 years. And I just feel it's time for a change in Old Bridge, and it has to move forward.
Okay, well said, gentlemen. Thank you. If I could just build on that a little bit, Ken, I think you alluded to one of the things I'm going to ask right now. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing the township? Take the broad picture for a minute, the township picture. What do you see? You alluded to a couple of them right now.
There's a number of them. First, the taxes. We have to, keep our taxes stable. Over the course of these last few years, this council has allowed or changed some of the zoning ordinances and has allowed or permitted the opportunity for 3,400 apartments to come in here in town. That's 3,400 units that are going to be hurting our school systems or draining our school systems. They had an opportunity to make a lot of these units and satisfy the COA requirements by making them single-family residentials or condos or townhouses rather. And those units, if they were townhouses, are taxed at a higher rate than apartments. As a result, we have more revenue into town. By having them as apartments, we're going to have more traffic. We're going to have more services drained. There's going to be more taxes, whether it be on the residential homeowner or whether it on the current apartment. People live in current apartments because they're going to have to pay it in the form of higher taxes and through their rent.
So your concern is about the fact they're in apartments. They're apartments of the dwellings being built.
It's the apartments. It's the added expenses that the existing apartments and the existing homeowners and taxpayers in Old Bridge are going to bear the brunt of it because it's going to drain our school systems. It's going to drain our already critically short fire department, departments, but also our police department.
How about the COA? Is this a part of the COA situation? Or
Yes,
is it separate?
but they could have satisfied the COA by separating some of those units and keeping them rentals and changing and allowing a lot of those units to go into for sale units in townhouses and condos. They also changed the ordinances and they got rid of the commercial component. Now the commercial component is important because those people pay taxes. They don't use our school system. They're not a drain on our social services, and we missed an opportunity there.
Okay, thank you. John, what do you think? What's the biggest issue that you see facing the
I'm
township?
actually glad to hear him say every one of those issues. That's exactly what I ran on my primer, and if you read my thing, that's what I'm running in general election. So I agree with him, everything there. But I don't want to take a shot at you, but no, I'm not really taking a shot.
No.
But he said one thing I just don't agree with.
Okay.
He, in his, there was a press release in the beginning, and he said, I think it was March something, that he went to the Democrat Party and left the Republican Party because he felt that the Republicans were not headed in the right direction, and the Democrats know what to do, save money, stabilize taxes, and all that. Well, the problem I have is that Mary Sohor, Anita Greenberg, and Debbie Walker have been working on the problems he's talked about for over 2 years, and I've been working on it with them. I agree with him that the council of the other 5 were going the wrong direction. They are gone. We have defeated them, and we're ready to move forward to a new direction. I agree with everything he said. The taxes, it's going to be an increase in the fire, the police, the water, and the infrastructure of the water and the sewer. It's going to cause tax problems from the bottom right down, from the top right down to the bottom. And so I agree with everything he said there, but it wasn't caused by the Republicans. In fact, it was a bipartisan vote in changing the zoning. And the 3 women, it's like, why would you want to get rid of them? It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
So this is a township-wide issue, gentlemen, is what I hear you saying,
Believe so.
regardless of the
Definitely,
ward.
definitely.
It's not a ward issue.
Definitely.
Okay. If we can go to the ward for a minute, we can come back to the township. What do you see in the ward, Ken? The big problem your voters are telling you in the ward, in Ward 6? Just narrowing it down to your
Again, they're
domain.
concerned about overdevelopment. They're concerned about traffic. Taxes are a big thing. And, you know, in our area, there is a huge problem, a drug problem in town.
Well, that's something, yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah, it really is. It's something we
is.
definitely have to talk about.
You know, I personally have had six close friends over the last 2 or 3 years have lost children.
Right.
And it's just a terrible thing. You know, we take a look at our police force. In our police force, we have 94 officers right now.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've talked to other municipalities and other law enforcement officials, and they say, you know, the town our size should have between 110 and 120 police officers. Well, if we have 94, that means we don't have enough resources out there to take care of, you know, locking up the bad guys.
Okay. And John, Ward 6, what are you here? From your
I
voters, just
hear
Ward
a
6
lot of
for
the
a
same
minute.
things. Their big issues are, again, like he said, it's the apartments. And what's concerning them the most is
Yeah.
the schools.
Really?
How are we going to, you know, take care of the schools? And then when I explain what's going on, the taxes, like everything he said before, and that I agree with, is all the other stuff going on, the police department, the fire department, the infrastructure. The other problem I have is, other than him, there's a problem with the animal shelter. That's big. That I've talked to a lot of people, and they're concerned about the animal shelter. They had basically made it political. They brought somebody in from another town, got rid of I don't know how many volunteers, and then hired people at a higher rate. It now, from what I understand, it's gone downhill. And that's something I want to work on. I want to get better management for them, get the politics out of there, and just make it a better place for the animals. And the other thing is code enforcement. That is a big issue. And what I want to do there is we have to make a change. The code enforcement seems to go in there and just like strong arm them. They show their badge. And it's just getting out of hand. They have to go in, do their job, and work with the people, not go out in there and just bust their chops.
Okay, well said, Ken and John. Thank you very much, folks. We're going to be taking a break right now. We've got a good discussion going here with both Ken Totten, who is the Democratic candidate, and John Murphy, who is the Republican candidate. Please stay with us, and we'll be back in a moment.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Folks, welcome back to Council Candidates 2017. Today we're talking with the candidates from Ward 6, John Murphy, the Republican candidate, and Ken Totten, the Democratic candidate. Gentlemen, if we can pick up, and Ken, if I may turn to you. John had a lot to say about some of the key issues. You elaborated some of your concerns. Do you have any other concerns?
No, John mentioned about me changing parties, and you know, I spoke with a number of different Republicans and Democrats over the course of my decision process, and I thought what my envision I thought aligned more with the Democratic beliefs right now. The Republicans, they've been split. There's two different parties in there, and you know, you can't split the two. It's one party right now, and over the last 6 years, they really haven't done a heck of a lot. Taxes are continuing to increase, right? We haven't really done any kind of major initiatives in our recreation facilities. All the facilities that we have in town were before this last two administrations. These last two. I mean, Gike Park, it was renovated. The YMCA, the dog park, the football field. Those were all projects that before the current council has been in place, and that has a lot to do with, again, the opioid position. We need to be able to provide our children recreational activities to keep them off the streets and keep them busy.
Do you tie that together, the lack of recreation, with the opioid situation?
I think it does. I think there's first, of course, there's got to be a lot more education in the systems. There's got to be a lot more intervention as much as we can. But we have to keep our youth busy. We have to keep them recreated. We have to provide alternative programs to them.
John, you've been involved in recreational activities. You agree with Frank's thought on that there might be a relationship between the...
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely, I'm feeling the kids in this age and this time now are bored. There's
Really?
there's nothing for them to do. They don't even talk to one another. Sometimes it's always texting and stuff. And I agree. And that's why one of the things I'm talking about is to enhance the park system. I mean, you have a park system where you can't even, in our ward, Phillips Park, you can't even go on the grass. There's a sign, do not go on the grass without a permit.
And
you
Phillips,
can't.
Phillips,
At
I didn't
Phillips,
realize that.
at
Okay.
all the parks, well, both Phillips and Veterans, you
Yes, sir.
can't play on the baseball field without a permit. I think you need to open that, like Kenny said, to the children. You have to, it's their park. It's not the council's park. It's not the anybody, but it's the residents' park. I'm one of the things I'm working on right now is trying to enhance Veterans Park. That is a disgrace.
That's had some problems.
Yes,
I know.
and I want to try to work something there, and I just want to make the parks more friendly. And that's, you know, and I agree with what he said about, you know, the children and
kids
stuff.
being
There's
bored.
there's nothing for them to do.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go?
Well, one question comes up. If you were on the council, can one person sitting up there with 9 people, can you make a difference? Can you do something? I mean, as well-intentioned as you may be.
I think you
Can
can.
you do something?
You need to find consensus builders, and you need to be able to sit down and get through the personal attacks and be able to roll up your sleeves and work together. And over the course of my professional career, I've served on some various local, state, and national boards
Yes, sir.
that have a lot of different interests throughout the country that were represented. And we found ways to be able to work together in common goals and common interests. And I think that consensus building is something that someone needs to do on this council, because there isn't. Everybody is in defense mode.
Right.
Everybody's either in defense mode or attack mode. We need people to be able to break down those walls and start talking to each other again.
How do you do that?
Civility.
What's the answer?
It's civility. It's simple as that. You know, what did your mom and dad teach you? We've lost touch with that, the reality of it all. We are all here to try to do what's best for the community.
For the community, ideally,
If we do
agree,
what's
yeah.
best for the community, all that stuff should take care of itself.
Okay, John, what would you do? One person in 9, can you sit up there and bring about some of the change in
Gene,
code
that was a-
enforcement and in
That was a
change
tough
recreation?
question for me. I've been mulling that around.
Yes, sir.
And I came out with the answer that I feel best suits me. I'm looking for a cohesive council that works harmoniously for the residents of the town and the
Yes, sir.
residents of town only. I don't like to keep stressing that.
No,
but
I hear
I
you.
want this to be about Old Bridge and about the town. I'm not concerned about anything else at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I can work with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling that if the board can work with people, they can sit there and one person may have a decision, may think of something that could change something. He could talk to the other members. Maybe they didn't see this. Maybe this one person convinced them, yes, that would be right for the town. And I have to say, it's possible that one person could change.
Could make a difference.
Difference, exactly.
Well, one point I might offer is it's likely that the new council will be made up of an entirely different set of faces to a large part
Definitely.
of the
Yes.
9 people up there. It's likely to have a number of different seats will change. That should help, yes?
I believe so, but it's still, it's that infighting. We got to get that stopped.
The infighting's gone. They've been voted out.
Yeah, well,
They're
that
gone.
could be. That.
I'm telling you, it's gone.
And you don't think the incoming people could run into the same situation with
Not if I'm elected.
with
It's not
the
gonna
little
happen.
barriers arising, little political issues arising, you know? Because that's one of the things that's frequently discussed here. And we've discussed it many times with the mayor even on his show. And that is a lot of the things before the council do get politicized. They're not for the benefit of the citizens. Many are voted as R's, Republicans or Democrats. You're saying, what I'm hearing both of you saying is that should stop. It should be a township-wide
It absolutely should.
I agree with
kind
that.
of situation.
I agree with that. I don't feel, I don't feel politicians should be running the council.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it should be people that are there to serve the public.
Say that again. Politicians shouldn't be running the council. That's an interesting
I'm sorry I
perspective,
said
John.
that,
Okay,
but
no,
that's how
an
I
interesting
feel.
point. But there's always a political overtone to these things, isn't there, Ken, from your perspective?
There always is. But again, what John said, it's about what's doing right for the town. And really, I think that what is different, what makes the difference between Democrats and Republicans is really, really more at the state and national level and not at the local level. We're about local politics, about local issues. It's about whether your street is paved, whether your sidewalk's clean, whether, the school system is a good one. Those are the type of issues that people care about, whether your taxes are low. And I think it crosses party lines, or at least it should.
Right. And John, you think it crosses party lines, or you're saying it should?
I'm
Well, you
saying,
would like to see it cross party
I'm
lines.
saying that, whether the council's Republican or Democrat, I think they should all work together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of council I want to represent.
Okay. Just to come back for a moment, if we could, to the opioid situation. What do you think we can do about that? What practically can we do about it? Whether you're council, the mayor, what can be done about getting these young people off the opioid syndrome?
Well, one of the things I think we have to support our police a little bit more than we are. I think
Really?
we have to increase our police force. 94 officers are not enough officers for a town our size. At any one point, at any one time, I think we have 5 or 6 cars on the road for the size of our town. That's just shameful. We have to support them. We have to give them the tools to be able to get into the schools, get into the neighborhoods to find out where the drugs are, to find out where the bad guys are, to help with the problems that are there, and again, coming up with solutions as far as recreational facilities, different programs in which we can do intervention and prevention. And then when there are issues and people are coming for help, they can't be afraid to come and ask for help. Being afraid of whether they're going to be arrested or something's going to happen to them. And they have to have confidence that the people in town or the programs are going to be successful and they're going to help them.
Well, part of that initiative, I think, has been anticipated by the chief. As you may be aware, there is an officer on the police department now, Patrick D'Onofrio, who was the first community relations officer, and that is his job. His job is to get into the community and be proactive, because as we've discussed on here, many police activities are reactive. Once something has happened, then the police respond. But Pat's job is to be proactive and get in there, to your point. I don't know, John. You have any other thoughts on it? I mean,
No.
again, the coalition. I come back to the coalition, the hospital, the police,
Right.
and the school system.
I agree. It has to start with education. It has to start with education in the community.
Yeah.
I spoke to a couple of police. Half of the cases aren't even reported because the families are ashamed of it.
I know.
And I agree with them. The police force is probably down 35, 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't control any kind of situation like this without at least beefing up your police force as a start, and then you got to go with education and work from there.
It just seems to be these kids are just drawn into this. The allure is scary. I mean, when we were growing up, I mean, the first thing of adulthood was the first beer or cigarette or something like that, right? Now it seems to be the drug thing seems to be the mark of adulthood or moving into being, wanted or being needed in the community. I don't know.
Yeah, they just see it on TV and in our social media and the music, and they're followers.
A cultural type of thing.
Culturally, yeah.
A cultural type of thing. Okay, before we go, Ken, you have any other thoughts you'd like to add?
As
Or-
far
well, whatever. Or John, any other thoughts? Well, let me ask you one. How do you feel you differ from John as a
I
candidate?
think John and I have a lot of the same causes
Right.
or viewpoints on things. I think I provide a little bit of a private sector approach. I've been out in the private sector. I've run, like I said, I've run a bank relatively successfully, I think. I've directed a force of employees, and we've have done very well with it. I've served on a lot of different types of communities, community boards, and I've lent into these communities, and I understand what makes them strong.
Okay, thank you. John, how do you differ from Ken?
Okay, he's worked a lot in the private thing. I've been with the public,
Right.
and I feel that's more what we need here. Like I said, I can pull in any people from the town that I've worked with, that I can pick their minds. I can get things done. I have an analytical mind. I look at it and I get it done, and that's what I continue to do for the public, and that's about all.
Okay, one other thought. There's a gubernatorial race at the top of the ticket this year. You think it's going to impact your chances, or plus or minus, Ken, as a Democrat?
Absolutely not. I think all races are local. I think we have on the Democratic side, I think we have a very good candidate in Ambassador Murphy, but I think what's going to make decisions and the people are going to pull that lever, is what is in the best interest of Old Bridge, and they should be considering that.
Okay. And John, governor race at the top of the ticket?
I feel it has no bearing on this race. It's a local race. It's about the citizens of Old Bridge, and that's it. It's where I don't have any.
You don't think it'll have that much of a bearing?
I don't think
Do you
it
think it'll
will.
bring more people out to the polls?
It'll bring more people
it'll
this
bring
year
more
as
people
opposed to
until
That's what I mean, a regular
a
election.
presidential
yeah.
election.
Yes, sir.
We won't have the level that we had last year, but there'll be more people because of the gubernatorial race. Yes.
Okay, I
Exactly.
think you've done a fine job just moments ago in saying how you differ from each other. Do you have any other words on why people should elect you? John?
Well, like I said, I've been living here most of my life. I want to help the residents. I want to move forward. I want to bring them a new, better Old Bridge. And I can guarantee that if I'm elected, your reward to the residents will be that you will get that better Old Bridge.
Okay.
And thank you.
Well said. Ken, why should people elect you?
I was born and raised here. I have no intentions of going anywhere else but Old Bridge. I've been involved both with a lot of the youth leagues in town. I've been involved in both the private sector and in the government sector. I think I'm well-rounded. I think I offer a lot of opportunities to help out in the finance area of the thing, where I can really, of the budgeting process, and really play to my strengths.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming in tonight. You did a great job, both of you. Really appreciate you being here. And folks, that's our program for this evening. We've been talking with the Ward 6 candidates for the Township Council in Ward 6, as I just said. The election on November 7th is very important. Remember to get out and vote. We're going to bring you interviews with all of the candidates here on Old Bridge Television. Please tune in, watch the bulletin board for the exact time and date when your candidates will be presented. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Gene McLaughlin. We'll see you again next time on another candidates program. Take care.